In the vast expanse of the Bay of Bengal, nestled within the Andaman Islands, lies a place shrouded in mystery and danger. North Sentinel Island is a world apart, a speck of land that has fiercely resisted the relentless march of time. It is home to the Sentinelese, often called the most isolated tribe on Earth. For tens of thousands of years, they have lived in complete solitude, their culture and way of life untouched by the modern world. This isolation is not by accident or geographical chance. It is a deliberate and violently enforced choice. Anyone who dares to approach their shores is met with a volley of arrows, a clear and unambiguous message to stay away. The Indian government, recognizing their desire to be left alone and the dangers of contact, has declared it illegal for anyone to go within a 5-kilometer radius of the island. This law is not just to protect outsiders from the Sentinelese, but to protect the Sentinelese from us. They have no immunity to common diseases like the flu or measles. A single virus could be catastrophic, wiping out their entire population, a living link to our ancient human past. The history of contact with the outside world is a catalog of misunderstanding and tragedy. For centuries, the island was just a name on a map, a place known to be inhabited but largely ignored by mariners and empires. In the late 19th century, during the British colonial rule of India, an expedition led by naval officer Maurice Vidal Portman decided to make contact. In 1880, they landed on the island and, after a few days of searching, found an elderly couple and several children. Portman and his men took them back to Port Blair, the main administrative center of the Andaman Islands. The intention, perhaps misguided, was to study them and show them the benefits of civilization. The result was a tragedy. The elderly couple, removed from their home and exposed to a new environment, quickly fell ill and passed away. The children, also showing signs of sickness, were hastily returned to the island with gifts. No one knows what happened when the children were reunited with their tribe. Did they carry diseases back with them? Did they describe their bewildering and terrifying experience with the outsiders? We can only speculate, but this encounter likely reinforced the Sentinelese' fear and hostility towards strangers. After this disastrous attempt, the island was largely left to its own devices for the better part of a century. The British made no further serious attempts at contact, and the Sentinelese continued their isolated existence. It wasn't until the late 1960s that the Indian government began a new series of contact expeditions. These were carefully planned, with teams leaving gifts like coconuts, pots, and pans on the shore. For years, these attempts were met with the same hostility. The Sentinelese would watch from the tree line, sometimes firing arrows at the boats. And other times, they would simply take the gifts after the visitors had retreated to a safe distance. A rare breakthrough seemed to occur in the early 1990s. An Indian anthropologist named Trilokanath Pundit led several expeditions where the Sentinelese appeared less hostile. On one occasion, they waded into the water to collect coconuts directly from the hands of the visiting team. It was a moment of peaceful, albeit brief, interaction. The tribespeople were unarmed, and the atmosphere was tense, but not overtly aggressive. However, these peaceful moments were fleeting. The policy of contact was soon abandoned. The risks were deemed too high for both the Sentinelese and the contact teams. The potential for introducing deadly diseases and the unpredictable nature of the encounters made the government reconsider its approach. The official policy shifted from one of contact to one of non-interference. The goal was no longer to integrate or study the Sentinelese, but to simply protect them and allow them to live as they choose. Several incidents since have starkly reminded the world of their unwavering resolve to remain isolated. In 1981, a cargo ship named the MV Primrose ran aground on a coral reef off the island. The crew was stranded for several days. As they waited for rescue, they watched as the island's inhabitants built small boats and prepared to attack. The ship's captain made a frantic radio call for an urgent airdrop of weapons. But before any conflict could erupt, rough seas kept the Sentinelese at bay long enough for a helicopter to rescue the crew. The shipwreck remains on the reef to this day, a rusting monument to a close call, slowly being consumed by the sea. Another tragic event occurred in 2006. Two fishermen, who had been illegally fishing in the protected waters, anchored their boat near the island to sleep. During the night, their anchor came loose, and their boat drifted onto the shore. They were discovered by the tribespeople and promptly killed. When a Coast Guard helicopter tried to retrieve their bodies, it was met with a hail of arrows, forcing it to retreat. Their bodies were never recovered. This event served as a grim confirmation of the island's inviolable border. It was a clear message that any intrusion, whether accidental or intentional, would be met with lethal force. The most recent and widely publicized incident took place in 2018. An American missionary, filled with the desire to make contact, illegally traveled to the island. He bribed local fishermen to take him close to the shore. He believed it was his calling to introduce his beliefs to the isolated tribe. Despite knowing the extreme dangers and the illegality of his actions, his first attempts to land were met with arrows, one of which reportedly pierced his Bible. Undeterred, he returned the next day. The fishermen who had taken him there later saw the islanders dragging his body along the beach. His desire to make contact had cost him his life. This incident sparked a global debate. Some saw him as a martyr, others as a reckless adventurer who ignored clear warnings and endangered the very people he sought to reach. Regardless of the perspective, the outcome was the same. The Sentinelese had once again defended their isolation with deadly resolve. The Indian government made efforts to recover his body, but ultimately abandoned the attempt. The risk of further conflict and the potential for disease transmission were too great. His body, like those of the fishermen before him, was left on the island. So, who are the Sentinelese people? Because of their extreme isolation, we know very little about them. Our knowledge is pieced together from distant observations and brief, tense encounters. They are believed to be direct descendants of the first humans who migrated out of Africa. They have likely lived in the Andaman Islands for up to 60,000 years, a staggering timeline that makes them one of the oldest continuous cultures on the planet. Their language is completely unknown and unrelated to any other language in the region. Their social structure, beliefs, and customs remain a complete mystery. We don't even know what they call themselves. From what we can see from afar, they are a hunter-gatherer society. They use bows and arrows to hunt animals on the island and use simple nets and spears to catch fish and other marine life in the shallow lagoons. They appear to live in small communal huts and have mastered the use of fire. Though it is unclear if they can create it themselves or if they rely on preserving embers from lightning strikes. The mystery of North Sentinel Island is not just about a hostile tribe on a forbidden island. It's a profound human story that raises difficult questions. Do we have the right to impose our world on them? Does our curiosity justify the immense risks of contact? The Sentinelese have answered these questions for us time and time again, with their arrows and their unwavering defiance. They are a living testament to a way of life that has vanished from the rest of the planet. They are not a lost tribe. They are people who know exactly where they are and have chosen to keep the rest of the world at bay. Their isolation is their survival. The ban on visiting the island is a recognition of their right to self-determination, a right to be left alone. It is a protective barrier that preserves one of humanity's last untouched cultures. The story of North Sentinel Island is a powerful reminder that there are still corners of our world that remain wild, mysterious, and beyond our reach. Perhaps some mysteries are best left unsolved. Thank you for watching. If you found this story fascinating, please consider subscribing to Facts Repo for more explorations into the most interesting corners of our world.